The difference between weld, attach, and group. We're going to go over that now. As you can see, I brought a circle and a triangle. I just unlocked it and made it into the shape that I wanted. Into the canvas, overall design or overall view that you're looking at right now is called the Cricut canvas. Now, they are two totally different shapes. If I go to make it, it's going to show you how it's going to cut on your Cricut. You're going to have a separate triangle and you're going to have a separate circle. The gray line around the circle and the gray line around the triangle are the actual cuts that the Cricut is going to make. Now, if you watched one of my earlier videos, the overall quick overview of Design Space, you would have learned that up here at the top, these are actions that affect whatever you're working with in the canvas only. They do not transfer over to the cut. So group, canvas only, doesn't affect how it's going to cut. Ungroup, canvas only, it's not going to affect the cut. So if I have these and I'm going to make a ice cream cone and I am going to group them together, what that does is whenever I'm moving one, I'm moving both. Again, if you watched my earlier video, the quick overview, you're going to know that the layers tab is extremely important. And in this case, the darker gray is saying that I have it highlighted. That's what I have highlighted. That's what I can move around. Not highlighted. Highlighted. And if you notice, when I do that, they both are highlighted at the same time, but they are still completely separate entities because they're grouped together. You can see the little indent, so it shows you the triangle and the circle in that group. In that group. Now, we go over to make it, and it looks exactly the same as it did before we hit group. That's because group only affects what is in the canvas or on the canvas. We're going to cancel out of that. Moving on, I'm going to just copy and paste. If you have Windows, it's Control-C and Control-V if you didn't already know that. So this little baby down here, we're going to call him group. This one, we're going to ungroup it. So again, they're completely different entities. But remember when I said that the gray line represents where the Cricut is actually going to cut. If I arrange this, let's talk about this first. Your Cricut is going to cut along the gray line. So they're going to be together, but you're going to have this line through the circle and the circle line, if I bring that forward, through the triangle. So you're going to end up with this weird little piece right in here. On the canvas, you're going to not see the difference, but when they actually cut, you are going to have that piece cut out, because even though the triangle is in the back, think of a cake layer. You have the bottom piece, the middle piece, and the top piece. Say one is chocolate, one's vanilla, and one's strawberry. When you rearrange those, you might not be able to see that the strawberry is on the bottom, but it's still on the bottom, and that's what the layers are saying. The entire triangle is still on the bottom. It's just behind the circle. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so we're going to attach these, and if you remember my overview video, these down at the bottom here directly affect how the Cricut is going to cut. So, we attach. Now you see, over in the Layers tab, the most important part of Design Space, you have a circle and a triangle attached. They are still going to cut the full triangle, and they are still going to cut the entire circle. We go over to make it. Remember, the first one we had grouped, so we have that triangle and that circle here, and then this one's attached, so they're going to cut together, but they are going to cut the entire circle and the entire triangle. So you're going to have this weird little cut right here that you may or may not want. Now, we're going to take attach down there, and I'm going to paste again. We're going to talk about weld this time. Attach. You're going to get a cut here, and you're going to get a cut out of the circle. What weld does is basically glue the two pieces together to make one shape. It's no longer going to be two completely different shapes like the triangle and the circle over here. You see attached, you still have your circle, and you still have your triangle. They're just going to cut together. Now weld, do you see how the circle and the triangle meshed together, glued together to become one shape? So if you look over here in the Layers tab, you still have your attached circle and triangle. You still have your grouped circle and triangle. But your weld is only showing one basic cut, which is the entirety of the circle and triangle glued together. So look at it here. Remember, this is our attached, and if we didn't know that, we could just go over to the Layers tab and see the word attached. There you go. There you have it. But this is our attached, and your Cricut's going to cut everywhere that it sees, not you see, it sees the gray line. For the weld, that gray circle is no longer there. There is no longer a Cricut cut. The Cricut is no longer being told to cut between those two shapes because they are now one shape. We go to make it. This is our weld piece. This is our attached piece. And this is our grouped piece. So the grouped piece only affects what happens to it in the canvas, because in the canvas you move it around as one piece. But on the canvas, I can move them around separately. Attach has them cutting together. They are attached together. Paperclip it. You still have a full circle, and you still have a full triangle, which is going to cut out as such, but in one swoop. Then you have the weld. It's only going to cut along the gray lines, so you have a full ice cream cone. I hope that was helpful. Like and follow for more.